Imagine the Ethiopian original tongues was completed around 323 Common Era. Then years later was the Council of Nicaea in Turkey. And Rome decided which one of these books they want in or out of their versions of the Bible. Therefore, the Ethiopian Bible has at least 88 books, compared to only 73 in the Roman Catholic version and 66 in the King James Version, which followed the Geneva Bible, which started the older New Testament format, because in it they want you to believe that stories of the future happened in the past. Why? Because the prophecy was against them. So they want you to believe that it happened already. So let's read what the Most High has to say. We in Ethiopia have one of the oldest versions of the Bible. And they told you that Christmas is on January 7th. So why are you following Rome? So let's watch.
The first recorded celebration of Christmas on December 25th occurred in 336 AD during the reign of Emperor Constantine.
So the first Roman Christmas, telling you that December 25th is Christmas, happened in 336, which is after the Ethiopian original tongues was completed. Because you see, all Bibles are translated out of the original tongues, and it was written in Ge'ez. That's why Ethiopia has the oldest, most complete Bible on earth. It wasn't written in Latin. It was translated into Latin. And Latin is just Roman. That's just a Roman language. So don't act like Rome invented Christianity. So let's watch.
This date appears in a Roman calendar known as the Chronography of 354, which lists December 25th as the day marking the birth of Jesus Christ, Natus Christus, in Bethlehem, Judea. December 20.
But we all know Jesus is born in late spring, while the real Christ is born on January 7th. So there's reports that Joseph, the favored son of Israel, was born on Tasus 29, also known as January 7th.
25th was chosen to align with existing Roman traditions, particularly Dies Natalis, Solis Invicti, the birthday of the unconquered sun. This festival celebrated the winter solstice and the return of longer days, symbolizing light triumphing over darkness. For early Christians, this connection carried symbolic weight, as Christ was seen as the light of the world. While the exact date of Christ's birth remains unknown,
it is known. They already told you. Ethiopia told you. The place where it has the oldest, most complete Bible, the place that had the Bible before the Council of Nicaea, told you that Christmas is in January 7th and is in honor of Jesus' dad, also known as Joseph. So let's watch what they're doing. Watch the lies.
I couldn't believe it. Queen Elizabeth II, the only monarch in the world who never bowed to anyone. I mean, she was the one and only, a great leader of the Commonwealth. Whenever another king or important figure visited, they would bow or make a gesture of respect to the Queen. But she had no one above her. Well, that's not entirely true. I saw some footage once, back when I was still working at the agency. Footage of her bowing to just one person in the entire world. Only one person. And who was it? The King of Ethiopia?
The King of Ethiopia, who is the King of Zion. He's the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah, the Most High Jah.
And became regent. He became emperor on November 2nd, 1930, and was crowned Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, King of Zion, conquering lion of the seed of Judah, power of the Trinity.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In other words, God himself is the Trinity. So he is the King of Zion, which makes him the King of Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is just another name for Zion. So let's watch.
Ethiopia. Do you know where Ethiopia is? You do, right? I mean, Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. Actually, it's very close to where the Nile originates. Back in the day, thousands...
The Nile originates from Ethiopia, from Lake Tana. It literally springs out of Ethiopia. But watch the lies this guy is about to say.
Of years ago, that entire region was part of Egypt.
The entire region was Ethiopia. From Egypt to India was called Ethiopia for dark-skinned people, including Jerusalem, or the land that they call Judea. That whole part was Ethiopia. Why? Because they were Ethiopians.
Ethiopia, Sudan, and even what we now know as Israel. Does anyone know the real reason behind this?
So you get it? That whole section was Ethiopia. And we know this. Why? Watch.
His name, have you heard of the Ethiopian king that stretched the borders all the way to the Indian Ocean?
India used to be called Eastern Ethiopia.
His name was Emperor Amde Sion, and his empire was repeatedly getting attacked by the Sultanate of Ifat. The leader Saber ad-Din began attacking the empire following his footsteps of his late brother Hak ad-Din. He further attacked Amde Sion, insulting him, saying, "I would make your wife crush grain for me." Amde Sion killed Saber ad-Din in battle and put his brother Jamal ad-Din to replace him. Ifat was now under Ethiopia.
Hello. Know your history.
Discovery. Fragments of a biblical scroll, along with other relics, have been found in desert cave.
You see what they do? Considering they are not the original inhabitants of the land, they have to create their own discovery, saying that they discovered stuff prior to the Ethiopians living on the land. So they just got to keep up making up stories, making up their own Jewish historians. Watch.
Christianity wasn't created by Jesus, but by a Jewish tent maker from Turkey. I'm Eloy Gilad. I read about Hebrew and Jewish history. Paul of Tarsus never met Jesus in his lifetime. He was a devout Jew who initially persecuted the early followers of Jesus until around 35 CE, when he had a mystical vision that changed everything.
Right? You get it? Some Jewish historian just discovered something in the 1st century prior to the Ethiopians finishing the original tongues. In other words, they're just making it up. They always discovering something. For example,
we have discovered manuscripts that go back to the 2nd century.
You get it? The Ethiopian original tongues was completed in the 3rd century. So they, who are they? White people? They discovered stuff in the 2nd century written in Hebrew? Get out of here. Stop making up lies, man. This dude is irritating. So let's watch. Clearly, Amos 9:7. Are you not as children of the Ethiopians, O children of Israel? Read it slowly. O children of Ethiopians, are you not as the children of Israel? Either way, however you put it, the children of Israel are Ethiopians. For Zion itself is called Ethiopia, but this is the stuff that they do. They have somebody named Flavius Josephus of the Antiquities of the Jews, who just made up his own. He knew everything because he was a scholar in the 1st century who was created by this guy, Thomas Lodge. So Thomas Lodge wrote about Josephus' Antiquities. And who is he? The year before he was born, his father transferred the ownership of the manors to Sir Rowland Hill, publisher of the Geneva Bible. Remember, it's the Geneva Bible that created the Old and New Testament format. So they want you to believe that future stories happening in the past. So Flavius Josephus is a Hebrew, Roman, Jewish historian, military leader, a Jewish priest scholar who was here in the 1st century, who was created by or followed up by William Winston. So he was a scientist mathematician that followed Sir Isaac Newton. In other words, they had their own scientific revolution in which they claimed to know everything that God did. So they believe in God, but they know why so-and-so happened in the book. So because Winston recognized the book as being spiritual truth, he rejected the notion of eternal hellfire. He was rejecting of the Trinity. So he was right in saying that the Trinity is wrong in saying that God is 3 equal, co-eternal person, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So he said they were wrong for saying that, which made him right. So then they outcast him. And because of that, he was fired from Cambridge because he said the truth. So in order to get back in their grace, he was fired in 1710 or expelled from Cambridge. So now he had to write his own thing in 1737. So he just followed what Thomas Lodge did. So Thomas Lodge created his own character called Flavius Josephus, who was supposed to be here in the 1st century. And because of him, a lot of Jewish historians follow his words. But imagine he was just made up with writings. So this guy in the 17th century basically continued a story. So what does the story say? The genuine works of Flavius Josephus, the Jewish historian, translated from the original Greek, according to. So it's not saying translated from which book or from what or from where. All it's saying is translated from the original Greek, which makes no sense because Ethiopia has the oldest, most complete Bible. So in other words, they just made up a Jewish historian, say that he was in the 1st century to coincide with whatever narrative they are trying to promote. In other words, they're trying to take away Ethiopia and act as if they were the original inhabitants of the land. Anyway, follow Jah, not man. Jah guide.
Alright, it's God, you know. And yet the Bible tell you that within 2,000 years Christ shall return, and when he returns, he might be King of Kings, Lords of Lords, conquering Lion of tribe of Judah. Through the land, you got King Solomon and King David.